Wishing you a wonderful day, students. Today I'm here again with one more chapter from your textbook Flamingo Going Places by A.R. Barton. Before starting off with explanation of the chapter, let's get to know the author first. A.R. Barton is a modern writer who lives in Zurich and writes in English. He has authored many stories like Going Places, which are mainly concerned with the problems and stage of adolescence. Well, about the story, Going Places is a short story by A.R. Barton which presents the perceptions, dreams, desires of an adolescent girl. The readers get a glimpse in the life of a protagonist, Sophie. Her relationship with her friends and family, her socio-economic position, her dreams and fantasies, dealing with the themes of adolescence, escapism, hero worship, and fantasizing. This story beautifully portrays the subtle intermingling of various emotions that one encounters in the giddy phase of life, that is, teenage. The story revolves around teenage girl Sophie, her family, and friends. She's a daydreamer who is always lost in her dreams of becoming rich and sophisticated, though in reality, she's a worker at a biscuit factory. The story suddenly twists up when Sophie makes a wild imagination of meeting Danny Casey, a famous footballer. She also makes a story in front of her brother that Cassie will come to meet her on a fixed day as per a promise he made to her. Now we have important characters in the story. We have Sophie, protagonist, who's a teenage girl. She keeps on fantasizing about things, and she even makes up this story of meeting famous footballer Danny Casey, and how her whole life revolves around this lie, and how she herself gets into this trap of believing that she actually met Danny Casey when she has not. In her family, her father is there, who is not named. He works in a kind of manual labor, returning home every night dirty and sweaty, shoveling food into his mouth. He treats Sophie with disdain, chastening her for telling wild stories, dismissing her ambitions and her desires. Though the reactions of children who are all very scared of him, the readers learn that he is an imposing figure with a drinking problem and a temper. Barton describes him in a rather unfavorable way, using words such as grimy, pointing out the fat rolls on his neck. We have Sophie's mother. Sophie's mother appears to be a homemaker who is resigned to a dreary life and is not particularly interested in or close to her children or husband. Very little information is provided about her aside from delicate looking bow on her apron and the overwhelming amount of housework she appears to be in charge of. Sophie has got two brothers, Jeff, who is mechanic apprentice. Jeff is Sophie's older brother, the oldest child in the family. He's a mechanic who has a motorcycle, and this appears to give him freedom and glamorous life, according to Sophie. Sophie imagines Jeff knows interesting people and travels to unknown parts of the city. She hopes that he will bring her with him, helping her to escape her own life. However, the story presents details about Jeff suggests that Sophie is projecting onto him. He is a shy, for instance, so it's unlikely he has lots of secret friends, and he spends a lot of time at home. He does not share Sophie's interest in aesthetics, fame, or fortune. While Sophie imagines Jeff in stylish clothes, in real life his clothes are unfashionable. Jeff's main interest seems to be footballer Danny Casey, which leads Sophie to claim that she's going on a date with him. She hopes that this will make Jeff admire her, while it does pique his interest, the scheme ultimately fails. Presumably, she and Jeff will not get closer and he will not rescue her from life, since Jeff seems not to be the person Sophie that she like to be the person Sophie hopes that he is. Sophie has one younger brother as well. He plays a minor role in the story, reiterating his parents' belief that Sophie's ambitions are silly and that one must be very practical about money. Then we have another interesting character, uh, Jancy, Sophie's friend. Jancy is a friend of Sophie. They're both working class. Their families appear to be friends with one another. And Jancy is considerably more realistic and pessimistic than Sophie. She knows that two of them are earmarked for the biscuit factory, a truth which makes her feel melancholic. She is also noted as gossip who is unable to keep secrets. And then we have Sophie's fantasized boyfriend. Danny Casey is a famous football star who is greatly admired, most importantly by Sophie's older brother Jeff. He is described as young, bright, beloved prodigy. Sophie tells her family a story that she met Danny Casey and he asked her on a date, which is meant to impress them and make them admire her. However, she seems to believe her own fantasy and is disappointed when Danny Casey does not appear on the night she said she would have met. The version of Danny Casey that Sophie creates is gentle, has a soft eyes, and is kind towards her. She says that Cassie plans to open a boutique, and she describes Cassie as being her own height, not bolder than her. Clearly, then, Danny Casey of Sophie's fantasies is meant as stand in for her, someone living Sophie's own dreams of success, acclaim, who she imagines to be not meaningfully different from her, making her own dreams seem more in reach. Well, students, coming to the theme of this story, um, the whole story is about unrealistic dreams and how we love to indulge in them, knowing all the while that they have little possibility of coming true. But some, like Sophie, gets too involved in them, actually act on them. This is when disappointment makes its entrance into life. The story seems to hint at you that it is okay to dream, but dream with limits. This is actual reality, and do not believe too much in movies and novels where the characters are miraculously overcome with their challenges. This is a pessimistic way of looking at things, but sadly, it is true reality unless you are impossibly ambitious, hardworking, and you have lots of patience and perseverance. Such dreams are best to kept under lock and key unless you like the taste of bitter disappointment. Students, in next video, we will be having detailed explanation of the chapter from your textbook Flamingo.